Hi everyone, it is Vincent coming live from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. I want to make a live a little bit different today to talk about something that we don't always mention about our product. I know that we talk a lot about the weight loss, and it's totally understandable because we have amazing results, and it is something that a lot of people need. So I think it's normal that we spend a lot of time talking about it. However, uh, there is way more to it. There is way more to those products than just weight loss. Personally, I lost 120 pounds, so I'm also, a product of those products, and I'm extremely happy of the result that I got. Losing that much weight, I feel in a better shape than I've ever felt, basically. Uh, and it has changed my life on a physical point and also mental. But what I want to talk to you about today is what I'm calling the long-term effect or the long-term benefit of those products. Earlier today, I took some time to sit back and try to put together a few points, in which I feel my life has been changed over the last 2.5 years since I started on those products. And it's funny because it's a few tiny events over the last few days that make me realize that a lot have changed. So I cut it in a few different sections basically, and I will just talk to you about it, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to relate. If you've been using the product for a while, you might feel the same things. The first chapter, let's say, I want to talk about patience. Just to paint you the picture, I have two daughters, I have two stepdaughters, I have two granddaughters, and I have a wife, and she's not the easiest of all. And so you can already imagine that on a daily basis, my level of patience is always like attacked from everywhere. And on top of that, my oldest daughter, Louise, she's diagnosed with autism and ADHD, ADD, and anxiety, pica disorder. 2 years ago, before we start those personally, and I was at the end of my rope. Like basically, I didn't know what to do to help her, and I didn't know what to do to help myself. I was always on the verge of breaking down because I didn't know how to help her, and because I was feeling that my patience was running so low, and I was afraid of what was going to happen next, what I was going to do with her and with myself. And I realize now how those products have impacted my life in the way I react to things. Like for example, I don't know if you know what the pica disorder is. The fact that you tend to put in your mouth and chew stuff, not necessarily eat them, but chew things that do not belong there. So a few years ago, when I was finding Louise's pencil case at the end of the school day with all the ends that chewed up, and when she used a water bottle, she always ended up chewing the cap, and I was getting so annoyed, by those kind of things, and I always had the feeling that she was doing it to annoy me, like I was taking it personally. She was doing it to annoy me, and she didn't care that I had to go back and buy more pens and this kind of stuff. And now I can realize that since those, when I see this kind of stuff, I'm able to take some distance, and say she's not doing it on purpose. She's not doing it to annoy me. Yes, it is still a bit annoying, but she's not doing it as a personal attack against me. So what I do is, the next time I go to the dollar store, I get a few more pens and I replace them, and I pick up the bottle caps that are all chewed up and I put them in the garbage, or I tell her to put them in the garbage, and it's just right there. It's one conflict avoided. Me telling her that she shouldn't be chewing the plastic, it doesn't solve anything. She doesn't do it on purpose. She probably doesn't understand why it was annoying me. Now we can calmly discuss it and just clean it up and move on. On top of that, and that's not only for parents that have kids with ADHD or autism or this kind of stuff, Louise decided that she wanted to play piano. We have a piano in between the dining room and the living room, so basically you can hear it from everywhere in the house. So I explained to her that this piano is mostly reserved for when you know how to play something already and you want to display it playing for people, and it's good. So she has a tiny piano inside the room, a small keyboard where she can practice. She insists on practicing on the regular piano, on the full-size piano, so it makes a ton of noise. And yes, it is annoying. And 2 years ago, before those, I would have just sent her in a room, close the door, and say, "You practice on your tiny piano," and that's that. Since those, I'm able to sit on the couch, 3 feet from the piano, and listen to her repeat 50,000 times the same 30-second piece of music that she's practicing, and I'm just fine. And I realized that sitting there, I can actually see her improving, and I can encourage her, which I wouldn't be able to see if she was in a room playing with headphones or whatnot. And it is the same right now. She has a fascination for anime, the Japanese manga, and so I just sit there and I listen to her talking about it. I don't know the name of the guys. They all have Japanese names that for me are impossible to remember, and for some reason she knows them all after watching the show just one time. And she talks nonstop about those stuff, just like she assumed that I'm already knowing everything. And a few years back, I would have told her, I don't care about this story. I don't know the movie. Basically talk to someone that understands what you're talking about. Now I'm sitting down and I'm listening, and once again, the funny thing is now I'm getting interested in the show. I've watched a few episodes, even without her, just to be able to share it with her. So once again, I'm just creating connection with my kid. It goes from something that would have totally annoyed me and I would have done everything to stay away from it, to something that actually going to connect my daughters and I. And Isabel is the same with the singing. She sings all the time, and it makes a ton of noise, and she doesn't only do it in a room, she sings everywhere. And it's the same that with Louise and the piano, and I can see her improving, and we can discuss, and we can pick songs together to sing. So it creates connection right there. And so that was what I wanted to touch base on when it comes to the patients. The second point that I wanted to talk about is motivation. A lot of time when we think motivation, we think about, I'm going to get up, I'm going to build a brand new deck, I'm going to dig a swimming pool by myself, I'm going to go run a marathon. Motivation can be that, but that's not all it is. To me, in my everyday life, the motivation, I've noticed it in being able to do the daily annoying stuff that needs to be done. You need to do them, and the more you're going to push them, the more weight they're going to put on you. You still have to do them anyway, so might as well do them right now. And now, since that's what I do. Something comes up that I have to do, I do it, and that's the end of it. And once it's done, I feel better, and I'm ready for the next annoying stuff that might come, or I'm ready for the next cool stuff that I might be able to do after, without thinking in my head I have to go back and do something else. Like for example, for years when I first moved here in Canada, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't work. I couldn't make most of the phone call because I didn't speak English. I couldn't work because of immigration. So I was just there doing nothing. And I wasn't really contributing to the life. Melissa had to do all the phone calls, pay all the bill, always arrange stuff. When we had to move, she was finding the house, she was doing all the arrangement. And me, I was just sitting there, collecting, basically. And at first, it wasn't really my fault because I couldn't help. And then very quick, I realized that, if I wanted to, I could have helped. And I was choosing not to. I was saying, it's not my language. I cannot call. What if they say something I don't understand and whatnot? And like, for example, when we had to deal with immigration for the longest time, I was always pushing the phone call to immigration just because I was afraid of the bad news that might come, and I end up coming. And then I realized, after a few years and after those, that fear doesn't avoid danger, No matter what, if a bad news has to come, it's going to come. So you might as well, go ahead, get it, and deal with it. And funny enough, after taking those for a few months and getting fed up with immigration not moving, I took my phone, I filled up the paperwork again, I complained, I wrote the mail, I ended up talking to Justin Trudeau's secretary. And 2 weeks later, I had my paperwork in order, and I was a resident. And this is exactly the way I try to live now. Yesterday we got a message saying there is something wrong with the truck. A few years back I would have made sure to not do anything about it, waiting long enough, and I knew that Melissa would have taken care of it. She would have called the dealership, she would have went, maybe I would have went with her, maybe, and she would have managed the entire stuff when I was sitting at home watching TV. Yesterday she was busy. She showed me the mail that we received from Dodge saying there is a problem with the truck. I called the dealership. I booked an appointment. I went. They looked at the truck. By the way, it was fine. And I come back home and it was all done. And I survived. And the funny thing is, on the way back, I felt good about myself. I said, well, I did it all by myself like a big boy. And nothing terrible happened. And it's something that, 2 years back, I would have never done. I would have purposely waited, taking the risk to damage the truck even further, by the way. I would have waited for Melissa to take care of it. Now Melissa works enough. She has, enough stuff to do. It just makes sense for me to do those stuff. And now it's not even a question. I don't even do it as an effort. I do it because it needs to be done. That's where the motivation kicks in. The third step that I really noticed a difference, it's, I call it courage and confidence. It's the confidence on the little everyday things. It's for me, it's my own experience. For me, it's to be able, when we have friends over, to just get up and grab the karaoke machine and start singing. I know that I'm not making a favor to anyone singing, because it doesn't sound super good. As long as the people that listen are also using our product and they have the patience, that it's all good. Years ago, I would have never sing in front of people. I sing pretty tune, but it doesn't sound too pretty. Now I don't care. I want to sing. I just sing, and that's that. And I realize that people around me are just fine with it, because they don't sing better or they don't sing worse. Everybody sings the way they sing, and we have a good time. And for years, I've been playing piano for years. Like, I'm 37 and I started when I was 6 years old, so it's been a long time. And a lot of people were asking me, "Oh, do you play piano?" Whatever. And my first answer, and I know he was annoying Melissa, and I was always saying stuff like, "Oh yes, I do play piano, but after the number of years I've been playing, I should be playing way better." It might be true, that being said, but it was always my answer is, I should be playing better. Now, since those, I want to play piano. When we have people over, I get up, I sit at the piano and I play. And I don't worry if people are going to wonder if I should be playing better because it's been 30 years that I'm playing piano. I just play, and most of the time people are just happy with it. It's a nice background sound, like piano bar style, and people are happy, and I'm not stressing about it. When I'm done playing, I just get up and I meet the people again, and I feel good. On another level, something else that I always used to do and that really annoyed Melissa when it comes to confidence and self-worth. I build a lot of furniture, like I do a lot of tables that I love picking up stuff in the street, fixing them up, and building new things, giving a second life. And every time I got compliment from people about my builds, about my tables, I was always answering, "Oh, it's really easy, anybody can do it." And it always annoyed Melissa, and she said, "No, not everybody can do it. Some people are good at other stuff. You're good at doing that." And this is one of the tiny details in the everyday life that I feel those products have impacted me. Now I'm able to say, when somebody compliments me and saying, "That's an awesome table," I'm able to say, without bragging, but I'm able to say, "Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good table. The stuff I build, they are not too bad. Could they be better? Yes, I'm still improving, and I will keep building better and better things." But being able to recognize your self-worth and that you're good at something, it is something that the coffee brought me that I didn't have before. I always thought it was better to say, "Oh, I'm not really good at it." And the sad part is, often it was interpreted like fake modesty, which is even worse, than real modesty. So for me, that sums it up about courage and confidence. Oh no, there is one more point that is important, and actually it makes a lot of sense today. It's about when it comes to making lives on Facebook. The product just launched in France and in Europe, and as you know, and as you may hear, I'm from France. And so I've been working way more, and it only makes sense for me to use the fact that I'm French to try and develop this business like crazy in France, because there is a huge opportunity. And people in France, they need the extra happiness just like everybody else. and they deserve to have this product presented to them. So a few years ago, I would have said, "Oh, that's not my business. Me, I take care of the house and the kids, whatever. Melissa, it's your business. You do it." Since those, now I'm just stepping in. It only makes sense. I'm French. Those potential customers, those potential rep, all those countries, a few of countries actually speak French. It just makes sense for me to step up. This morning, for the first time, I did an actual training live. I had to study a bit about it, and I did a training live in the Team France that we have. And I said the live is going to be at 11. When 11 turned, I pressed live and I went. And that for me, it's something new. I would have waited. I would have said, oh, maybe people are not going to show up, then I might as well not do it. No, today I said I was going to do a live. I set a time. When the time came, I pressed live and I went for it. And I was just fine. Once again, I was just fine. And at the end of the live, I was like, yeah, I've done it. And it made me feel good about myself, which is also good to take. So that's it for me about the confidence. The next thing that I've been able to think about is the less stress factor. So I'm not talking about actual depression, actual anxiety. I'm talking about the tiny little stuff that stress you all the time, and the thing that you cannot avoid, the thing that just come in life constantly, and always causes you stress. Like for example, and I noticed it yesterday. Like me, I learned to drive in France, and maybe a few people know that the French drivers and Canadian drivers are not the same. I never hear anybody using the honk of the car. In France, you honk all the time. You shake your arm at the window. You swear. You scream. You drive super close to show that you're upset. These kind of things. And I tend to be like that. Most of the time I was screaming inside the car because I'm not crazy, but I was still screaming a lot. And I was always stressed of this guy that tried to go in front of me, that guy that is too close, that guy that is too far. And, I was always stressed. And the result is he was also stressing the other people in the car. And it was resulting with argument with Melissa because she's way more peaceful because she's Canadian anyway. And like, for example, yesterday I had to go and pick up something. And where we live, there is water all around in the Niagara region. So there is a lot of, bridges leaf bridge that you have to pass. And basically, you never know when the bridge is going to be up or under construction. So I made all this drive, and literally 500 meters before the bridge, that's where they put the sign saying the bridge were closed. So I could have made a U-turn way before if they would have let us know. 2 years ago, I would have lost it. I would have screamed at the worker. I would have called Melissa saying, oh, now I'm lost and I don't know what to do because I don't know where the other bridge is and whatever. Yesterday, I saw the sign. I made a U-turn. I said nothing to no one. I made a U-turn. I used my common sense. I said, I'm going to follow the water and get the next bridge. The next bridge was open. I arrived to my destination 2 minutes later, and I was just fine. And I was not stressed. Like I didn't cause myself a stress. I was relaxed. I said, okay, something come up. There is a solution. I find a solution. I use it, and then I'm done. Also, to stay on the topic of the driving, because it's something that causes a lot of people a lot of stress. Now I always drive the speed limit. Always. Like I put the limitator on the car exactly at 100, exactly at 180, and then I don't worry about it. First, I don't have to worry whether I'm going to be seen by a cop driving too fast, or if people are going to think that I'm driving recklessly or whatever. I drive the speed limit. I'm on the right lane. I don't bother anybody. If I arrive 2 minutes later, then I arrive 2 minutes later. People can wait, or I can just leave 2 minutes early to cover that. Back in France, I was driving way faster. First of all, the limits in France are higher, and I probably thought it was cool to always be over the speed limit as a principle, to look cool. Maybe people think that now it looks lame to always be at the speed limit, but for me, it looks just fine. I'm relaxed when I drive. I see stuff coming. I save money on gas, and there is peace in the car. There's no more argument of you're driving too fast, you're too close, you're passing too many people. I'm just driving. We arrive when we arrive. When I drive in town, somebody wants to cut in front of me. I slow down. I let them pass. It makes no difference to me. A pedestrian wants to cross when the end is already flashing. I let them go. I'm not going to drive over them In France, I would have hung. I would have take my hand and said, "Look at the sign. That's not your turn. It's my turn." Now I just wait, and it's just fine. And I know for a fact that I owe those stuff to my coffee, to my shake, to my lemonade that I've been using. 100%. It has really changed me. But it took me 2 years to be able to realize those tiny details. I leave them every day, but now when I sat down and I took the time, I realized there's a lot of things that have changed, way more than just my physical appearance. The next thing that and we're almost done now, don't worry, guys. The next thing that I've noticed a difference is, I call this chapter forgiveness, the general term of forgiveness. Taking those products, feeling happier about yourself, it's something that's going to be able to feel you good enough, for you to feel good enough to pick up the phone and, just say to someone, I'm sorry, or I forgive you, whatever. To be able to put aside things where we think we're right and the other person is wrong and the other person thinks she's right, etc., etc. It's to be able to just put stuff aside and just say, you know what, whether I was wrong or I was right, it doesn't matter. We were friends before, we can be friends now. And that takes a certain piece, a sort of inside piece to be able to reach the point where you say, none of that matter. I like this person, I'm going to just call back and we're going to start fresh. It's putting aside silly argument and, give a call or go visit a parent, a brother, a sister, a long friend that we didn't talk because we argued 5 years ago about something totally trivial. We had already witnessed that, people that told us that they've been able to reconnect because they felt better about themselves, they felt happier. And it's something that I've been experiencing as well, and it's also being able to forgive yourself, or forgive people for yourself, to be able to say, I'm doing better, I'm trying, I'm feeling better. I deserve to not always remind myself of the crap that I've done before. Okay, the page is turned, I'm moving on, I'm starting fresh, I'm starting happy, and now I'm doing good things, And we've all done it. We all have stuff in our past. We all have, suitcase with crap in it, and it's good to let them go, Adding the weight behind is only going to slow you down anyway. And still in this idea of forgiveness, being able to be using those products, may be able to listen when I feel that I should be the one talking, When you listen to people, you realize that they might have interesting stuff to say anyway. And it happened to me many times. Before, I would have forced my idea, I would have forced my opinion, and I would have talked, even to talk over people. Now I just sit down and listen, and I realize that the more you listen, sometimes the less stuff you have to say, because you realize that people, whether already share your stuff or maybe what you thought was wrong is actually not that wrong, and maybe you were in the wrong. So I've definitely noticed my ability to sit back and listen more to people, and I've been feeling better just because of that, And we finally arrived to my last chapter that I call self-love. We already talked a little bit about it, randomly. With those products, it's been 2 years, and even more the last year. It's to be able to go to bed telling yourself, I'm not a bad person, Could I be better? Yeah. Can I do more for others? Can I do more for my family? Can I be more patient? Yeah, we all can. But the feeling of going to bed telling yourself, I'm not too bad. That changes everything. You sleep better, you wake up better, you have a better day, and then that's the virtuous circle that starts. And then you sleep better again, and then you wake up better again. I mean, we don't understand how a circle works. And to be able to say, yeah, I've done mistakes, I own them. I'm not trying. No more excuse. I own my mistake. I apologize to the people I hurt, and then I move on and I start fresh. This way I'm able to tell about myself to myself. I'm not doing too bad, and that's an incredible feeling. Going to bed feeling that we've contribute, we've helped someone, we've helped ourselves, we created something, we produced something. It's an incredible feeling. Okay, there is days that are better than other. You're not going to create necessarily something every single day, but being able to close the day saying, yeah, I didn't waste a day. I've done something, even if it's a little thing, even if it's just your laundry, your dishes, and some paperwork, even if it's just one phone call to a long friend that you've been pushing for months, or even if it's just one board game with your kid, it's good, and you're going to feel good about yourself. So, right, I'm going to wrap it up here. It's been a while already. It's a long life, and I don't want to bore any of you, but I think it was important to touch base on that, on the fact that the weight loss is awesome. It's important. It's healthier, but there is way more to it. And as you're going to use those products, you're going to realize that it's going to impact your life at so many levels. And those levels are going to transfer into other level, and you're just going to grow as a person, and you're going to be nicer to the person around you, and it's just going to, it's the ripple effect, and then you're going to end up making people feeling better as well, especially if you end up sharing the product, you help them there. It's it is an amazing journey from the first cup that I took 2 years ago until the one I'm taking every morning now. And I think it's an experience that I want everybody to be able to have. So, right, thank you for having spent those like endless 25 minutes listening to me ramble. It's always nice to be able to share with you guys, and I'm sure I'll be back live one of those days for more result that I'm getting with those products. I hope you all have a good afternoon, and I'm going off now. Bye-bye.